seventh graders, we're going to take a look at a couple of examples from the last 4 links on Objective 3 in angles, triangles, and prisms. So we need to solve for x here. In order to do that, we have to determine if these are supplementary, complementary, or vertical angles. Since they make a corner, we know that they are complementary. So then we know that they are going to equal 90 because the definition of complementary is that they add up to 90. So then we're just going to add those two angles together. X plus 42 plus 3x equals 90. Now we're going to combine some like terms. We have 1x and 3x. Combine those together to make 4x plus 42 equals 90. And then we will just solve for x. We need to get rid of the 42. Since it's a positive 42, we're adding 42. We need to do the opposite by subtracting 42. What you do to one side, we need to do to the other side. So 4x equals 48. And then we're going to divide by 4 to get x by itself. Divide by 4, and x equals 12. All right. So once we set up our equation, we just solve for x, and we're good to go. Let's try one more of those. Okay, now we have 3 angles here. These two right next to each other do not make a corner, and they don't make a straight line. It's angled, but it's not angled to make a corner, and it's not straight. So what we have actually are vertical angles, angles that are across from each other. The definition of vertical is that those angles are equal. So 150 equals both of these angles together, 50 plus 2x. Now we can solve for x. We need to get rid of that 50. It's positive, so we'll make it negative by subtracting. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. 100 equals 2x. To get rid of that 2, we divide by 2, and x equals 50. All right, you could plug that back in to check and see if the answer works. 50 times 2 is 100. 100 plus 50 is 150, which matches the vertical angle as it should. Let's do just one more. So all 3 of these angles together makes a straight line. That means that they are supplementary. Definition of supplementary is that they add up to 180. So 3x plus 80 plus 2x equals 180. Now we're going to combine some like terms. Our x's, 2x and 3x makes 5x. So we have 5x plus 80 equals 180. Now we need to get x by itself. We subtract 80, 5x equals 100. And our last step is dividing by 5. So x equals 20. All right, let's go to the next link. What is the range of possible sizes for the side x? Okay, x needs to be smaller than 2.7 plus 4.0. Otherwise, it'll be too long, and those two sides won't meet. And x has to be greater than, open mouth is now to the x, so x is greater than 4.0 minus 2.7. Because x has to be bigger than those two subtracted, or it would be too short in order for the sides to connect to make a triangle. So x is going to be less than 6.7, and it's going to be greater than 1.3. So those are the numbers that we plug in down here. 1.3 and 6.7. That's the range of values for that this side could be. It could be any number then between 1.3 and 6.7. Okay, this one, same idea, but they didn't draw the triangle this time. They just gave us side lengths. So any two sides added together has to be larger than the third side in order to make a triangle. So 10.6 plus 5.6, those added together has to be bigger than 4, which it is. And then 5.6 plus 4.0 has to be bigger than 10.6 to make a triangle, which it's not. So this actually isn't going to make a triangle. But the last pair we would have to check would be 10.6 and 4. Those two added together would have to be 5.6. So two of the combinations worked, but one didn't. So that means no triangle. All three combinations, the two sides added together has to be longer than the third in order to make a triangle. I think we've done one of those already. Okay, the figure below shows a pyramid with a square base, and we are slicing it horizontally straight through the pyramid. It says, which shape does the intersection of the vertical plane with the pyramid look like? So if we slice this right in half, straight through the top point of the triangle, we slice it in half, and then we pull it apart and look at what shape was made from slicing it. What shape would we see? And you can actually see it inside the triangle here a little bit. What shape is that? I didn't draw that very well. Let's try that again. Trace the triangle. If you would slice that in half and then pull it apart, you would see a triangle in your left hand and a triangle in your right hand that was formed by the slice. So the intersection of the plane would make a triangle. Okay, now this is the cross section. A vertical slice, vertical goes this way. Vertical slice through a three-dimensional solid produces this shape. So we sliced it, we pulled it apart, we look at it, and we see a triangle. What could that have come from? If we slice this triangular prism vertically, pull it apart, we're actually going to see a rectangle. If we slice this, we'll see a rectangle again. This would be a square. But if we slice this triangular prism that's on its side vertically, if we slice through it this way, this, and then pull it apart, we will see a triangle from the slice. So it would be that last one there. All right, one more. We have a triangular prism standing up. We're slicing it horizontally. Remember, horizontal is like with the horizon. So we slice it that way, and then we pull the top apart from the bottom. What shape do we see? We will see a triangle. And our last link. Cirrus is buying a tent with the dimensions shown below. The volume inside the tent is 36 feet cubic feet. Cirrus isn't sure if the tent will be tall enough for him to sit up in. We need to find the height of the tent. Okay, so volume of this, volume would be area of the base times the height. And the base in this case, this is actually a prism on its side. So the base is actually a triangle. So volume would equal the area of the triangle, base times height, times the height of the prism. So the volume we know is 36, so in place of V, we can put 36. Then we have 1/2 times the base of the triangle is 4 feet. The height of the triangle we don't know. The height of the prism is actually 6 feet. Remember, it's laying on its side, so the height is not going up and down this time. So the height of the prism is 6. So we can simplify this now and solve for h. So 36 equals 1/2 times 4 is 2. 2 times 6 is 12. So 12h. Now we want to solve for h. This is multiplication, so we're going to do the opposite and divide. Divide by 12, divide by 12, and the height is 3. So the height of the tent is 3 feet. That should be tall enough for him to sit up in, I believe. Okay, then we need to find the space inside the fort. So again, we're finding volume. We don't have a formula for this type of shape, But what we can do is split this into two shapes that we do know how to find the volume of. So we can find the volume of this little rectangular prism, this bigger rectangular prism, and then add them together. Okay? So volume for this, since it's a rectangular prism, we can just do length times width times height. The length, if this is 40, this little piece down here, and this total side is 60, this little piece will be 20. So if this much is 40, the whole thing is 60, that leaves 20 here, 20 high, and then what is our depth? 20 this way as well. So it'd be 20 times 20 times 20. So that would be 400 times 20, which would be 8,000. Be the volume of the little one. And then the bigger one. So if the whole thing is 60 and this much is 20, that means this is 40, which is the same as the top. So for the bigger one, we would do 40 times a height of 30 times a depth of 20. So 40 times 30 is 1,200 times 20 is 24,000. And then we'll add those two together to get 32,000. 24,000 plus 8,000 is 32,000. All right. Okay, we have some surface area here. He covered the sides of the kite, but not the top and bottom, with 7,200 square centimeters. So the four sides around here is 7,200. And how would you get that? You would get that by doing length times width, because that's the area of the rectangle, and then multiplying that by 4, because all four of them are the same, because the base is a square, 30 by 30. So if the total surface area is 7,200, and we do length times width times 4, the length and the width are the same, we could actually substitute, instead of length and width, we can do x times 4. Because the length and the width are the same, we're going to use the same variable. Now we want to get rid of that 4, so let's divide by 4. And that gives us 900 equals x times x. Okay, so what times itself would be 900? That would actually be 30. 30 times 30 is 900. So the width of the rectangle we know is 30. So length times 30 times 4. So 7,200 equals length. Let's make that a cursive L so we know it's not a 1. Length times 40, or 30 times 4 is 120. So 7,200 equals L times 120. Divide by 120. Divide by 120. And 7,200 divided by 120 is 60. So that means the length is 60, which would be the height of our prism. And we're trying to find the volume. So then we can just do length times width times height, which would be 30 for the length, 30 for the width, and 60 for the height. That would be 900 times 60, which would be 54,000. That's all for practice. Good luck.